Webcasting from the middle of nowhere, Kansas, I'm Jonathan Switzer, and this is the Roboblog Chronicles, episode number 1.5. It's the middle of the week, so it's time to read through the comments thread and make my own comments. Psych said, yes, companies like money, but they tend to have problems with throwing good money after bad, which is why they seem to be hedging their bets, waiting to see if Shadow Chronicles will kick things off well enough to convince them to continue. An anonymous commenter adds, instead of the delays giving Harmony Gold and licensees more time to plan products, the delays probably discourage licensees from dealing with Shadow Chronicles. Think about Wildstorm. They planned Robotech Invasion and prelude to the Shadow Chronicles comics to tie in with Vicious Cycles game and Harmony Gold's movie. Unfortunately, they got burned big time as the movie and game slipped their deadlines. The result, the Invasion comics collected dust on store shelves a full 6 months before the Invasion game came out in October of 2004. Prelude to the Shadow Chronicles comics collected dust for over a full year before the Shadow Chronicles shipped. Harmony Gold probably did ask and asked again Wildstorm to do a graphic novel, but Wildstorm looked at Harmony Gold's past record and the resulting drop in comic sales and thought, once bitten, no, twice bitten, twice shy. Yes, I believe you are probably correct. In fact, I'm pretty sure that an Invasion trade paperback was requested and, as we all know, denied. I assume there was probably also a Prelude to the Shadow Chronicles trade paperback requested and denied. I haven't seen such a thing in any of the DC solicits up to May. What I don't understand is that the From the Stars trade paperback apparently has historically sold pretty well. And, mind you, I would need to see some Nielsen BookScan numbers, and those are expensive to get to look at to see whether or not it's an enormous success, if it's done really well over its lifespan. But the anecdotal reports are that it's, done fairly well for DC Wildstorm, so I don't understand why they don't want to increase that library. But on the other hand, these single-issue sales are dismal. And I believe that is because the comic book direct market has no faith in the Robotech name to move floppy comic books. They need a new model. That's all I'm going to say on the comic book front. They need a new model, and I've said this many times before, and nobody listens to me. Okay, as for Toynami, Anonymous continues, that's probably one of the reasons why Toynami waited until after Shadow Chronicles shipped before announcing any ties to Shadow Chronicles to ever ride the coattails once the product actually exists, and to vainly plan around Harmony Gold's long history of slip deadlines on unreleased projects. Again, the only really bad project they've had in this decade is Invasion. Unfortunately, it was a major tentpole release, and the tent that was supposed to go over that tentpole just utterly collapsed because the game was, in many respects, a failure. So yes, that would shake their faith, but there is no, in this particular regime, long history of slip deadlines and unreleased projects. There's Invasion's failure, and then the little bit of wonkiness leading up to the Shadow Chronicles. And to most of us, this comes off as major wonkiness because, we've been watching this project as it has developed. But, honestly, to the licensees, it's just, been basically a dry spell of a dry spell of product. Toynami didn't say boo about any Shadow Chronicles products leading up to this until the New York Toy Fair, recently. And that's probably because of Invasion, because they had announced superposable Cyclone figures to tie in with Invasion. They had a little cardboard sign with the old line art and said, yeah, this is something we're going to be doing. And then it never materialized, but that photo of that little cardboard stand-up, I've drudged that up a couple of times, and I'm sure a lot of my fellow fans have probably mentioned, hey, didn't they say something about that? And that never came out. Which is probably why, yeah. No, they weren't going to say anything until the Shadow Chronicles actually emerged. You're right. Okay, Save Robotech said, "Hey, did you get my email about the Beagle Must Be a Toys from TAF07? I sent information and a link to some pics of the booth a day before I made the post about it on Macross World. There's a link in the email of the display, Huge Must Be a Scroll, and Huge Must Be a Scroll, and the Beagle booth." No, I did not actually get that email. And I mention this not only to tell you, Save Robotech, this, but also to bring up the fact that, boy, the Japanese have really become enamored of the idea of making Mospeed a product between CMs and their Legios Tread combination, Alpha Beta combination, Aoshima and their upcoming run of all 4 Legios fighters, Alpha fighters, and the Beagle Mospeed transformable motorcycles, Cyclones, all the models. That is a lot of support for a show that was never popular in its home country. And I bet you dollars to donuts that they're doing this. These companies are planning these toys with full knowledge that a lot of these sales are going to be to companies that will be selling them worldwide to the U.S. and other countries where they got Robotech instead of Mospeed. They're looking for U.S. and worldwide collector dollars. The products are probably are going to be designed for sale in Japan, but they're not staying there. I bet you anything. Darkwater said, "I don't know if it just brings up bad memories or whatnot, but it kind of irks me when I hear about Harmony Gold getting fans to work for them for free. I know they're not twisting arms, and I know we're all adults capable of making our own decisions, but it's become a habit on Harmony Gold's part to get fans to work for them, with the only compensation seeing their name printed, and sometimes not." Well, Darkwater, my good pal, yeah, I could definitely use the money. Oh boy, could I ever. But on the other hand, it's kind of nice to know that if I got suddenly hit by a bus, there would be that mark on the on some Robotech product saying that I was here and I was involved in some small way in a product in the Robotech franchise. I mean, it's been a long, crazy road to get here. I've been obsessing over this show for 15 years straight, ever since I got this little tape right here in, let's see if we can line that up. This little tape right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And, for a guy living in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, to make a mark on the franchise he's weirdly obsessed with, while still remaining here in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, that's a hell of a thing, I think. And, part of me says that, if they asked me to do something else, I should probably beg for some sort of financial compensation, some sort of compensation beyond getting free copies of the resulting work. But some part of me says, well, hey, I'm already in that mindset. I'm already thinking Robotech 24/7 as it is. Might as well do something with it. As Admiral DMC McKeever says down here, "I think it's cool he did all that work for the novels. I know it can be cool just to see your name in print." Yeah, it is. And he also asks, there's at least one piece of merchandise coming out this month, right? The Art of the Shadow Chronicles, unless it was delayed. April 28th, by my understanding. This is Captain JLS signing off.